over on Rumble, where I see plenty of people waiting. Of course, most of you are still asleep because of all of the turkey infusion. So I expect that fewer people will show up today. Yes, VJM. Unfortunately, for some odd reason, my computer read the wrong time at exactly the wrong time. And so I thought I was showing up, 5-10 minutes before the quartering ended his stream. I mean, before he began the stream. Instead, it was 5-10 minutes before he ended it. Awkward. Did the best that I can. This ain't quartercast, lol. Yeah, and I see Last Beacon is poking people in chat. Just tell us, by the way, I got your package. I was very, very happy with it, by the way. That's excellent. I still got the civilian rations. I already ate the military ones, though. The vegetable tomato one, I'd give that like an 8 out of 10. It was really good. The other one, probably a 7 out of 10, simply because it was a little bit too sweet for my tastes. Still tasted good, though. I dumped all of the salt and pepper and other shit in it, mixed it up. It was pretty good. Yeah. Today, we're going to have a little bit of the bants and rants sort of thing going on. I mean, yesterday was Thanksgiving. Half of you are probably hungover. But we do have news to talk about. I wanted to start off today. I covered it this morning, but it's so fucking funny I decided to cover it a second time. Joy Reid has gone completely insane. Like, she had at least a few marbles left in her head. I think that those have dissipated by now, though. We'll go through a little bit of this particular screed. Her Thanksgiving message was basically that people who believe in MAGA shouldn't talk at the Thanksgiving table. It's quite something. Bipartisan legislation aims to strip federal aid from universities supporting BDS movement against Israel. Yes, indeed. If you support outright communism, that's perfectly fine. You can still get federal money. But you're not allowed to criticize certain foreign nations. I've noticed that there's a little bit of a trend about that. Again, disclaimer, I am not Team Israel or Team Palestine. I just happen to be a noticer. I have noticed a trend here with regards to some of these things. Breaking news. New York Senator Liz Krueger has proposed an idea that New York should secede from the United States, along with Vermont and Massachusetts for some reason. Be a very, very strange province, by the way, were that to actually happen. Technically speaking, this is sedition, I believe. It's interesting because people on the left, they always complained, oh my God, there are these red states that talk about seceding from the Union, some of which would be more viable than others. I suppose if you get like Texas and Oklahoma together, maybe with Louisiana and Arkansas, you'd have a functioning country. This one would look more like a Rubik's Cube, actually. It wouldn't make any demographic sense either. I'm not sure what they're proposing, but definitely it's still sedition. Turns out Jack Smith's case cost $50 million to only completely fail. We'll be talking about that fairly briefly. It might be wrecking the climate, but CO2 is actually good for your cells. Yes, apparently it's called oxidative stress. This is something I didn't learn when I was taking biology. Fascinating story, though. And then people on the left, they're very, very upset over the fact that Donald Trump has actually gained popularity. The incoming administration's cabinet appointments are a bizarre disaster. So why are the president-elect's approval ratings going up? They just can't understand it. We can explain it in brief in a couple of sentences, but basically it's you fucked up. Nobody likes you. Last Beacon, hey Sticks, ping us. Also, happy late Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I'm still kind of unnerved about our House majority because I believe we're going to have a tied House in the future. I think you mean tight House in the future. Yes, agreed. Although it's not really our House majority. The Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats in the House. You may have seen this before from such massive hits as 2016, the Republicans cock-blocked Donald Trump and will not fund a border wall, despite having spent 3 decades rambling about needing one. Cooking Inferno, hey Sticks, given I called your time on Monday and Wednesday was FUBAR, should I be your official clock watcher? Fits my OCD. No, I'll do better next time. Yeah, it's like I'm going early right now, but that's because I've got things that I have to do later. Lev Polyakov, yo, Sticks, let me know about Saturday or Sunday in New York City. Next weekend would probably be better, but I gotta know as soon as possible for scheduling. Unfortunately, I will not be able to get down physically to New York City. At least not in the intermediate period. My apologies for that. I was excited for it, but then I had like 10,000 things pile up on my plate. Jesus. My schedule has been a mess now for months, for fairly obvious reasons. So I'm doing the best that I can to compensate. Just a second here. This looks like it's glitching. No, I guess not. Anyways, let's talk about Joy Reid first. This is our happy news of the day. Joy Reid has extreme Trump derangement syndrome. She also has, hey, my job might be axed because MSNBC is going under syndrome. She also appears to have some sort of folial problem with her hair, but we're not exactly sure what it is. She was rambling, and you can take a look at this link in the description, archived, of course. Take a look at what she's saying here. You can watch the video, but I figured that most of you don't want bulimia, so you can just go to the archival link and read it for yourselves. Joy Reid going completely ape shit with regards to anyone that supports Donald Trump. Now, she uses the generic term Republican, and a lot of people in the United States, they do tend to be partisan. So, you know, you use Democrat as a stand-in for generally liberal or left-leaning, use Republican as a stand-in for like conservative, pointing out that there is a cohort of voters, myself included in that number, who voted for Donald Trump, but we are not Republicans. I am not a conservative. I never will be because I like winning. But Joy Reid goes off, and this is exactly the microcosmic way in which the Democrats lost the election, right? You cast everyone off as sort of a blanket stereotype and heap insults on them without realizing that some people in that group that you're identifying aren't even technically part of the group at all. Conservative voters, okay, and Republicans in general. What about those of us that are independent voters? We decided to vote for Trump simply because he was the better candidate. Joy Reid cannot understand this. And this has happened over and fucking over, by the way, with some of the comments that were made by Hillary Clinton in 2016, basket of deplorables, of course. You had similar comments made in the last election, calling everyone Nazis and things like that. It doesn't go over very well. She goes completely insane. Make your own dinner, make your own sandwiches, wipe your own tears, troll amongst yourselves with Elon and leave us alone. You got your heart's desire, the president you dreamed of, and worship instead of Jesus. And this time you didn't even have to storm the Capitol, smash the windows, or try to kill police officers or issue death threats to poll workers. See, you did it just by voting this time. Congrats, you got your way. Yes, we did. And you're salty about that, bitch. And he even got away with breaking the law. Yay! But if you expect the 73 million who voted for the prosecutor, not the felon, and particularly the 92% of black women who voted for Kamala to give you a cookie for your vote, a trophy, a hug, a high five, you might be asking too much. Who's asking you for a hug? Nobody. You're Joy Reid. Yeah, even your own family probably doesn't hug you. If we want to eat with you, and this is literally just a Thanksgiving reference. It's sort of like, you know, people gather around the table and sometimes they end up talking politics and shit. If we want to eat with you, we will. But if we just want some peace over the holidays and don't want to put up with your trolling while we eat our tofurkey, literally, that's a quote, get over it. Stop acting like we owe you. I've not seen anyone act like Joy Reid is owed, you know, somebody's presence at Thanksgiving, so I think she might be projecting. And for God's sake, stop whining. It's embarrassing. Our Thanksgiving, our choice. It's a Nick Fuentes reference, by the way. I thought that was absolutely hysterical. I don't even understand exactly what she's fucking talking about at this point. Like, normally the stuff that Joy Reid says is weird. Like, it goes off the rails pretty easily. It's sort of like Maddow and some of these other people. But this one, I think, takes the case. This is effectively the literary version of the Chaz Garden, so to speak. I was like, what? Webster's Wares. Good morning, clankers. Doing 30% off site-wide for our Black Friday event through December 1st. All Trump and Sticks merch included. Clank on, baby. What do fuck? There was once a congressman named Schmo who may have brained weekend in Turnhoe. The CIA said, do what we say and we'll cover it up and we'll give you a morning show. I know the reference, by the way. Last weekend, our political class would rather talk and bitch about things than actually serve the people. Cooking Inferno. Also have to call you out on your leftover sandwich. A proper roast turkey club sandwich, no ketchup, and of course, double-decker gobbler sandwich is the second best. No, the way I do it, you take like the leftover bread because, you bake 5-6 fucking loaves. You take that nice and thick cut, smear it with ketchup and cranberry sauce, and then slap a bunch of turkey in it. That's the way to do it. I was watching Joy Reid's, spiel the other day. When I first saw this story, I'm like, this person's gone batshit. Pilgrim Media, will they primary the rhinos in Congress in 2 years? Hopefully. I wouldn't get my hopes up too far, though. Bipartisan legislation aims to strip federal aid from universities supporting BDS movement against Israel. Now, if you're talking about the literal direct funding of such an organization or organizational capacity, I would say that would be proper. But what these bills actually address is pretty much any anti-Israel activity on campuses can get you banned from getting any federal money whatsoever. I realize that money is fungible, and so there's a little bit of a give and take there. But I noticed something. I don't have a problem with them suggesting such a thing, although I don't support it myself. I believe that people should be able to protest, boycott, do whatever the fuck they want. Whether it's a public university or not means nothing to me. Here's the problem, though. Why is it that Congress is so quick to act on, and this is a bipartisan bill, by the way, this isn't just the Republicans fronting it. Why is it so quick that they get to that? But if our border is being overrun, maybe 5-6 years later, you get a few 100 miles of wall. If our own tax system is completely fucked up, if our own country's under attack, unless we literally suffer something like 9/11, no action is generally taken at all. There's no attempt at reform. But meanwhile, we're trying to reform countries that are thousands of miles away, involving ourselves in Europe, involving ourselves in the Middle East, especially East Asia and things like that. I think that I've noticed a trend with regards to this. It's almost like Congress doesn't give a fuck about the people of the United States. Just saying. It's not just the Democrats, dude. There are plenty of Republicans that are completely out to lunch as well. Another reason not to be a Republican. Privateer of the East sticks. Elon Musk announced that he's considering buying Hasbro, one of the largest toy companies on the planet. This includes buying IP like Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering. Thoughts? Sounds cool. Now, he'd make a shit ton of money doing that. Oh, yeah, I wanted to show off this card, actually. The Clank Master. Yeah, I don't know if this will autofocus very well. I've got myself my own magic card, actually. It's pretty cool. Trump, Donald the God Emperor also included in there. I thought that was pretty great. Chrissy K, thank you for keeping me in the know. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. You have helped me get through tough times. Thanks. You are very welcome. I hope to make much more content. Pilgrim Media, remember, there really is a uniparty. Yes, the deep state. You've got Murkowski and Collins, some of these other people. They're just as bad as the Democrats. What do fuck? The traditional rhino defense in the primaries is to have their benefactors fund 4 or 5 rock-hard conservatives that spread the conservative vote out so the rhino wins with 30% of the vote. Yes, many such cases. The left has tried to adopt this basic tactic too by swarming the neoliberals. Sometimes successfully, like with AOC, Rashida Tlaib, some of the others. Felix DZNTZ, I'm thankful for you, Sticks. I'm thankful for you too. Webster's Wares, saying Israel killing innocents in Gaza is not anti-Semitism. I hate all this legislative bullshit surrounding opinions and thoughts. America first, not Israel first. Agreed. People should be able to speak exactly how they want to. Sometimes they'll piss you off by doing so. Then you can piss them off in return. I mean, it's kind of fun when you think about it. Mike the Wop, Clank motherfuckers. Sometimes I eat candy corn while drinking spicy V8 and cuddling my Sticks plushie. Goodness. Just tell us. We love the Hexenhammers in Lincolnton, North Carolina. Yeah, that was some great stuff that you sent, by the way. I've never actually eaten one of the civilian MREs when I come to think of it. The ones, the food gift from the United States ones that are in that maroon-colored bag. I don't think I've ever tried one of those before, actually. In fact, I don't even know what's in them, so we're going to see. It doesn't even list a menu or something like that, so it's basically a grab bag. Sounds good to me. Coffee Slayer, I sent you an XDM, want to send you stuff. Clank, thank you. Yeah, I'll, yes, if you've bumped it to the top, I'll be able to take a look at it later. Keep in mind, though, this afternoon and evening, I'm going to be extremely busy. Also, we just got 4 inches of snow, so everything around me looks like Skyrim at the moment, which means I probably have to shovel, unfortunately. Obviously, my favorite activity, as you can tell, during the holiday season. Now that Thanksgiving's over, it is now permissible, by the way, under the laws of Clankdom, to play Christmas music. If it's before then, no, you're not allowed to do that. Let's get to our sponsors really quickly. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a rant day. Again, you just had Thanksgiving, you get a little bit tired and shit. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. Yeah. Brain Squared, Radiant Energy, and so forth. I take one every single morning, and it's some good shit, let me tell you. Appears to be neuroregenerative and regenerative in other aspects as well. And no, I'm not talking about that one, dudes out there. Pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, engraved spoons. They have the little Ouroboros logo, or they say Clank and stuff like that. They're pretty fun. Also, they've got glassware now on their site. We've got BiltongUSA.com. Anton can hook you up with some real good shit. And they've got fruits and stuff now. I haven't tried the candied ginger yet, but it looks really good. It looks like the sort of thing that you would like, maybe you'd mince it up and cook it into rice or something, and it'd be kind of like almost Asian style. Also, Sticks, X, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available there as well. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks, X, and Hammer hats. Several varieties and colors are available there. Officially licensed Sticks merchandise. Everyone should own a hat. I think I own about 20 at this point. It's a big problem. We've got heritageheirloomseedcompany.com, where you can get a seed survival bucket and grow delicious squash and tomatoes and all sorts of stuff. Most of the seeds in the garden this year were from Heritage Heirloom. The garden got a little bit neglected after I went to jail, but other than that, everything was fine. Those eggplants, by the way, definitely on point. Also got some soap available on their site, including several Sticks blends. websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get Trump merchandise. Again, Black Friday sale, so that's 30% off. You can get the flag, you can get signs and things like that. That's pretty cool. You're not going to get another Trump campaign, so this is basically your last chance to get them. Also, plenty of Sticks merchandise available. We got blades, dude, and they are sharp, let me tell you. Although I think still the metal straws are my favorite because it's just like really inventive. And then you don't kill sea turtles until you intend to eat them at least. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMNbean.com, where you can get delicious coffee and tea. Many varieties available, but of course, I'm specifically fond of the Clank coffee. They sent me a few test blends, and I taste tested them. And then I chose the one that was the best for the Clank coffee because Clank coffee should be the best. Oh, God, it smells delicious. I'm just saying, one of the other bags is already completely exhausted. There's a reason for that. Let's see. Cooking Inferno. Any chance that Trump or Doge will end the unique and ridiculous practice of taxing Americans living abroad? Yeah, the United States is, I believe, the only country without taxation reciprocity, actually, on that. I had a problem with that myself. Of course, I was living in the Netherlands, and I'm self-employed, so I got a double whammy. But I don't know if that will end up ending. That wouldn't really be under Doge, though. That's for government efficiency. That's not really related to tax policies so much. What the fuck? I hope Doge is successful. However, I remember Rumsfeld announcing on about 9/8/2001 his plan to audit the Pentagon. We know what happened a few days later. Draw your own conclusions. Oh, yes, I fondly remember that. Probably 99% of the people watching, though, don't. Yeah, they were going to audit the Pentagon. 9/11 happens and all the money disappeared. It was inexplicable. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about this. Donald J. Trump news. Breaking news. New York Senator Liz Krueger has proposed an idea that New York should secede from the U.S. and become a new province of Canada. Thoughts? My thought is, number one, you're kind of committing sedition by even suggesting it. It's not legally actionable, but at the very least, you should lose your job. Number two, the actual proposal also would include Vermont and Massachusetts. That would look like an abomination. It wouldn't make any goddamn sense logistically. It wouldn't make any sense demographically. It wouldn't make any sense geographically. And also millions of people would immediately rise up and overthrow your attempt and you would fail. The United States military would not be necessary in such a situation. I realize that New York tends towards being blue. But if you've ever been to New York, you know that 90% of the state is rock-ribbed conservatives with a lot of guns who live in the mountains and farm corn and shit like that. The main bulk of the liberals are concentrated in a couple of small areas that would be very, very easily blockaded. With Massachusetts, most of the western part of the state is rock-ribbed conservative. You have to go into the Boston area to find many liberals. If you're here in the state of Vermont, in Rutland or, the Northeast Kingdom, hell of a lot of conservatives. And they're the ones that own the guns. So fucking good luck is basically what I would say. Just to be clear, there's no chance of this happening. It's the same as after every election that a Democrat wins, some people in Texas and a few other states will complain and they'll say, well, we need to make our own state. Does it ever actually happen? No. Most people in the United States consider themselves Americans first and foremost. And trust me, if you look at the population, especially here in Vermont, while I consider myself a Vermonter, I'm not going to side with a secessionist movement. It wouldn't make any sense. Even if it were led by conservatives, I wouldn't be able to side with it. I guess I'd have to go across the border or something like that. Yeah, Sal the Hamster. Bennington is more swing statey too down there. I think Rutland is basically the 50-50 though. Like Rutland town very, very narrowly went for Harris. But I think if you go towards Wallingford, Proctor, places like that, that all went for Trump. We were almost the absolute median with regards to voting here in Rutland town. By the way, Rutland town is a very, very interesting existence. Long, long ago, there used to just be Rutland. And then Rutland town realized that Rutland city's government was fucking retarded. And so what you end up with is you have a Rutland city, which is municipal, it's an actual city, incorporated and shit. And it's sort of like a munchkin inside of a donut. And that donut is Rutland town. And I think Proctor was part of it originally as well. So our little area doesn't necessarily look geographically normal either, but this would just be a complete abomination. Vermont is a very, very strange state in both the best and worst ways. I say this as a native Vermonter. Mike the Womp went on a 3-hour hike this morning, starting in the dark with a UV flashlight, hoping for some crazy mushroom action. Not many out there other than turkey tails. I assume some glow. What you think? I love mushrooming. Though I don't know where you live that you would be finding mushrooms in this kind of weather. God, it's almost December. You must be way down south or something like that. Here, mushrooming season is basically, well, summer, in June, you can find some of them, like you find like fairy ring mushrooms. And then it continues up till October, basically. By now, they're all dead. Any that are alive are under 4 inches of snow at the moment. Andrew Jacobs, hi Sticks, first super chat, discovered you via Jeremy. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Quartering is a cool dude. He puts up with the fact that I'm not very good with time zones, among other things. Mike the Wop, North Carolina. Oh, okay. So I can see why you'd be mushrooming in November. Yeah, here, yeah, you could make fake mushrooms out of snow, I suppose. Imagine making like little mushrooms out of that. So it's sort of like making Frosty the Snowman, but the mycological version. Cooking Inferno. That feeling is because of the silly belief that the US is, instead of properly the US are. Just saying. True. What do fuck? New York State Senator Liz Krueger should try seceding from peanut M&Ms. Well, I mean, if she doesn't want to be part of the United States, she is free to move to Canada. It's not that difficult. I'm pretty sure there's like expedited immigration between the US and Canada, isn't there? Used to be, you didn't even need a passport to travel between them. I can't remember if they imposed that yet. You just go across the border with your driver's license. There's basically no checking at all. Nobody cares. Canada is just the hat of the United States anyway. Other than Quebec, they're a little bit weird. And they don't know how to tip. Causing consternation among Vermont restaurant owners, by the way. Any Quebecois out there, when you're in the United States, you have to tip. Yeah, I mean, Krueger's threat is a completely hollow one. It's not going to amount to anything. It's the same thing as like Texas secessionists. Everyone always tells me the United States is about to balkanize, and I'm just like, I roll my eyes constantly at this. Jack Smith's federal Trump cases cost taxpayers more than $50 million. Yeah, so for a legal case that you should have known was going to fail in the first place and was literally hinged on the election results, you managed to waste more than $50 million just in order to wage it. And Jack Smith now, he resigned because he didn't want Trump to be able to claim the mantle of having fired him. And the liberals, for some reason, thought this was some sort of great trolling move instead of him simply being desperate to retain his pension. Oh, I loved those articles. Those were hilarious and still are. Hey, Sen, have the mushroom pills fixed your brain enough to allow you to enjoy marijuana again? I don't smoke marijuana, so I don't know. But it is definitely neuroregenerative. I can anecdotally say, at least for me. Disclaimer, I'm not allowed to give medical advice. So, yeah. I think I like the brain squared ones the best. Those seem to have the best overall effect. The radiant energy is quite literally more of the energetic one. But for the overall biological regeneration, I prefer the brain squared. And I've got plenty of them, so I'm all set. Seize Jack Smith's assets and take his passport. Just let him go. He completely failed. Let him live in ignominy. What do fuck? Did anyone check with Canada if they actually want these talentless leftoid creatures slithering their southern border? Yeah, I mean, the border of Canada would no longer make any sense whatsoever, too. Geography does play a role in politics. Not that, Brandon. Good morning, Sticks. I'm hoping I can mail one of your books to you to autograph. I've tried asking on X, but I know you get a lot of DMs. I'll include a prepaid return postage plus 20 for the auto. Yeah, that's fine. You'll have to bump it to the top, though. You got to realize I get news tips literally all day. So my apologies to anyone who's messaged me and I haven't gotten back to them. But I literally can't get back to everyone. There's too many messages. It's impossible. Jason Lane, Jack Smith isn't a real boy. Hopefully he sees some judicial consequences for impersonating a special prosecutor. Yeah, that was the fun thing. He didn't even technically have the legal right to act in that role. And people just totally memory hold it and acted like it wasn't a problem. Simply because Orange Man bad. Cam2425 IA. Liz Krueger looks like Jim Carrey in the Grinch outfit. Oh, shit. Now you're not going to be able to unsee it. It might be wrecking the climate, but CO2 is actually good for your cells. I found this fascinating. CO2 actually, if its concentration is increased, is cellularly protective, actually. And so this article has to do the little aside thing. Well, it's destroying the climate. It's going to kill us all. But in the meantime, you'll be marginally more healthy. Your cellular processes won't be oxidated quite so much. And so everything will be fine. Without bicarbonate or CO2 present in experimental DNA oxidation reactions, the chemistry is also different. The free radical species generated, those are very harmful, by the way, hydroxyl radical is extremely reactive and hits DNA like a shotgun blast, causing damage everywhere, Burroughs said. In contrast, her team's findings show that the presence of bicarbonate from dissolved CO2 changes the reaction to make a milder radical striking only guanine, the G in our 4-letter genetic code. Now, you're still fucking with your genetics at that point, but it's a little bit better now, isn't it? I found that article hilarious. I love the little aside that they have to give. Well, so a little bit of CO2 and bicarbonate is good for your cells, but it's still going to kill everyone. So, you know, it doesn't really matter now, does it? Pixelated Done is correct. Yes, if there is more CO2 in the atmosphere, plants will tend to grow slightly faster and larger. That is because CO2, not water and things like that, is actually the primary limiter on their growth. This is why we use CO2 pumps in greenhouses sometimes. And you can check, they've done 1,000 experiments on the subject. It's very, very evident that the CO2 is the limiting factor for a lot of plants. As long as they have sufficient sunlight, and that can be supplied artificially or naturally, sufficient water, and the presence of the nutrients that they need, especially the macronutrients, so nitrogen and phosphate and so forth. Micronutrients are important. Trust me, those can boost plant growth as well, very, very easily, especially in a carbon-rich stratum, as long as there's enough nitrogen present to counterbalance the carbon. Mainly it's CO2 that's the limiting factor, up to a point. They can only absorb so much, and so you get a sort of a more or less limiting return. The return on investment at small levels is very high. Once you get higher than that, it decreases somewhat. Swamp Donkey. Balkanization is inevitable as states polarize more and dig into their respective political positions. Red counties and blue states should secede to the nearest red state. Courts no longer matter. I disagree. I don't think that will happen. So we'll see who's correct in 30, 40 years. Cultivated Mind. Merry Christmas, everyone. Don't forget that we have Chagan Cocoa Mix out right now. Anti-fatigue, gut support, antioxidant, and delicious. Yes, Sticks, yours is on the way soon. I can't wait. Sounds great. I didn't try that matcha blend that you had sent. Did I? I'm not 100% sure. I lose track of things sometimes. Midwest Gunner, speaking of rosemary, fresh from the garden, well, dried from the garden, smells delicious. Yeah, I got a bunch of herbs next to me. Harvested a shit ton of dill seed. That's for pickles next year. I've got some thyme. This isn't all of it. This is just one wad of thyme. That's perfect in a soup, by the way. I always put thyme in my lentil soup. And lots of, oh, shit, I'm spilling them everywhere. Lots of coriander seeds, too. I like growing herbs, and it's easy. The best thing about herbs is that it takes very little fertilizer or effort of any kind, really. Bravo, Victor. Greet and such from up here in Milton, Vermont. Don't shovel, it will melt. Come on, Sticks. You know the Vermont way. By the way, ever consider a Vermont meetup? We could have had it in the alley in Rutland. Yeah, I've thought about Vermont meetups and stuff. That'd be fun. And yeah, I know that it's going to melt off, but at the same time, you want to shovel a little bit of a path, not because of this storm, but because of the next one that's inevitably going to come. I try to keep a few areas clear because I know that and this is Vermont, so at any given time you can get 2-3 feet of fucking snow. So it's problematic sometimes. Although snow-in days are still fun as an adult. Some people are like, well, when you're a kid, it snows a lot. You don't have to go to school. Yay, yippee, I get hot cocoa. And then you're an adult, you have to shovel it and stuff. But I still find them fun. It looks absolutely spectacular out right now, though. It looks literally like Skyrim. Somehow Americans are liking Trump better every day. And the liberals cannot describe exactly why that's the case. I like how they've got these like extremely hyperbolic images of Trump. Like there's one here. It looks like he's eating a bone that's got a piece of the American flag on it. I'm not 100% sure. That's from The Nation, though. So, doesn't necessarily have to make sense. And I think it's funny because I can sum up exactly why Trump has gained in popularity. People are realizing that he's simply better, that the last administration was a fucking abysmal failure. And when they look at Kamala Harris's reaction to losing, I think that it reinforces that particular opinion. Like when she made her obviously inebriated video, and not just like, hey, I had a tipple beforehand, but more like she drank the whole Franzia box. She's plastered out of her mind, saying weird shit. And I think that people saw that video especially. This will affect the polls in some measurable manner, I think. They watched that video, and even some of the people that voted for Kamala Harris, I think, said, holy shit, was I wrong? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I think that they realized that they were going to be sold a pig in a poke, somebody who is clearly mental, and that it comes from an administration with somebody who at times forgets who he is. He's sometimes incapable of actually walking across a stage. So people looked at that and then they said, okay, I'm also not being offered really a platform. They didn't know what Kamala Harris stood for. All they knew of her was the cackling and don't vote for Trump, he's a Nazi. And that was the entire candidacy. I'm not surprised that Trump is more popular now than before. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more popular before he reduces in popularity, by the way. But she was absolutely drunk in that video. I can tell you that. Cultivated mind. CO2 has a diminishing return on plant growth and temperature increase relative to the concentration. This is why CO2 paranoia is so ridiculous. The parts per million would have to double to get a 0.5 degree increase. As a Vermonter, if the climate warms by half a degree, I wouldn't mind that. That's a running joke up here. What do fuck? I only have 3 words for Kamala. Betty Ford Clinic. Yeah. She might have been on something more than that. Maybe she dipped into McConnell's cocaine supply. She was absolutely glowing and just completely going off. It's like joy, joy. Joy was literally the slogan of the campaign. You think about Trump, make America great again. Okay, it's still a slogan. It's sloganeering, but it kind of works. Joy, yeah, that's going to get a lot of people to vote for you. Just be happy, you know, take some antidepressants. Maybe she took those before that video too. Pilgrim Media, when the best time for stow? I don't know exactly what you mean. Angelus Sky, Clank from Hawaii. Do you think the U.S. will ever truly unify again? I have hope for this, but I think we need to let go of the tribalism. Yes, I believe that there will be a civic revival. It's just a matter of how much time it takes for that to happen. Hopefully World War III doesn't occur beforehand, you know? Sora. Some think that she was on uppers. Well, I mean, why not both? She probably does use Addies or Xannies or something like that. Maybe she dosed on ketamine beforehand. Who fucking knows with these people? There's literally a private pharmacy in D.C. just for the politicians where you can't see what things that they're actually on, and they can get literally anything under the sun. Since it's technically legal to get a prescription for ketamine, I wouldn't be surprised if a few members of Congress are using it, by the way. I myself have never tried it. I don't even know exactly how it affects you, actually. I know what the K-hole is. Thankfully, I've never experienced it. I imagine it's not particularly pleasant. Clonnie, yeah. Maybe she's on clonazepam or something like that. I mean, she definitely needs an antipsychotic. I just don't think that she takes them. What do fuck? Babylon Bee's headline, Kamala unburdened by sobriety. I know. She's unburdened because she doesn't have to be the president of the United States. She's the sort of person who's stupid enough, by the way, that would think that it would be easy. Guaranteed it wouldn't be, especially if you're Kamala Harris. At least when she fucks up, she can always blame sexism. That's basically what it would devolve into. Have any of these climate scientists who've gotten rich over the years ever mentioned China? LMAO, says Pixelated Done. Yeah, it's very, very funny. It doesn't matter how many emissions China has. But, you know, if a cow farts here in Vermont, it's a big problem. You've seen those articles. One good idea that they do have is lemongrass is cheap and easy to produce. It's basically just an herb. Apparently, you can reduce methane emissions from livestock if you just feed them lemongrass. So, you know, the cow has to eat anyway. You might as well. And that's just because the cows are smelly. Personally, as a Vermonter, I do not mind the smell of cow shit, but their farts are a little bit rank sometimes. Anyways, I'm going to go offline a little bit early today because, again, I've got a shit ton of stuff to do. I still have to drive out, too. I mean, I've got 10,000 things that I have to do today. Yes, Toledo Jess, she is still the VP. What the fuck? Yes, Kamala is still in office, which is why things are still fucked up. Thankfully, her role has basically just been symbolic. She's the DEI hire, quite literally. Border czar, visits the border once. AI czar, she gave one goddamn meeting about that, and it was like 20 minutes long or something like that. Basically invisible in the administration. And Joe Biden, by the way, doesn't even like her. I guarantee that the Bidens secretly fucking hate the fact that she was the VP at all. That's a guarantee. You could tell. Like when the reporters were asking him, comment on Kamala Harris's loss and stuff, and he turns around and he had a total shit-eating grin on his face. He knows. I don't think that he's trying to help Trump or anything like that. That I don't believe in. But I do think that he tried to, push in the screws with Kamala. I think that he was in on the joke, so to speak. I have a feeling that that's actually true, which is hysterical. Anglus Sky. One more clank from Hawaii. Been replaying Fallout 3, and I think of you as 3 Dog. Ooh, when he talks about fighting the good fight. White pill as much as you can. Yeah, 3 Dog, definitely one of the most iconic characters of modern gaming. Although is Fallout 3 technically modern gaming at this point? I don't know. You can debate it amongst yourselves, but I'm going offline. That's about all. Peace out.